ever wondered how much nature is truly worth? Often, we only realize its value when the environment is damaged and we have to spend money to protect ourselves or solve the problem. The first method is preventive or defensive expenditure. This refers to the cost people, households, or governments pay to prevent environmental damage before it happens. For example, buying a water filter for clean water, using an air purifier during haze, or wearing a face mask for protection. These actions show that people are willing to pay for a safer environment. However, this only provides a lower estimate because it measures the cost of protection, not the full value of nature. The second method is relocation cost. This measures the cost of moving people, communities, or assets to a safer place when environmental damage becomes too severe. It includes expenses such as building new homes, preparing new land, and replacing facilities. Since relocation can be expensive and disruptive, it is usually considered a last option. So why are these methods important? They help us understand that nature is not truly free. Clean air, clean water, and a safe environment have economic value. By measuring the cost of preventing damage and adapting to environmental changes, we can better understand the true cost of losing this environmental benefit.
Alright, now I will be explaining regarding the importance of relocation costs and also the preventive defensive expenditures. First and foremost, it is able to measure the environmental damage cost. This is because it can help estimate the economic impact caused by an environmental issue. For instance, the cost of relocating people and also the cost of protecting the communities from harm. Furthermore, it also supports cost-benefit analysis. This is because it allows decision makers to compare between the cost of implementing preventive measures and also the cost of damage recovery. Last but not least, it also reflects the value of environmental quality. This is because the higher spending on protection shows that people value a clean, safe, and also healthy environment.
One major strength is that this method based on actual behavior instead of asking people what they would do in a hypothetical situation. But economists observe what people actually spend to avoid environmental risks or adapt environmental changes. Another strength is that this method are used real market data. So because of the information come from actual expenditure such as water treatment costs, protective equipment or relocation expenses, the result generally more reliable and objective. In addition, the data required for this method are often easier to obtain compared to some other environmental valuation. So this makes them more practical and cost-effective to apply in many environmental studies.
One weakness of this method is they do not measure the true value of environmental resources. For example, the cost of moving a water treatment plant does not represent the full value of the clean river ecosystem. Other weakness is that the replacement may not provide the same benefit as the original environment. For example, a flood wall may not protect an area effectively as the mangrove forest that naturally reduce the wave and flooding. Lastly, this method cannot be used for all environmental resources. For example, biodiversity, wildlife habitat, and scenic beauty are difficult to value using the allocated cost and preventive expenditure.
For international cases like in Indonesia, Nigeria, researchers study how households obtain their water. The study found that most residents rely on a private water vending system because public water services were limited. Households spend substantial amounts of money purchasing water from vendors, demonstrating a strong willingness to pay for reliable water services. In St. Louis, USA, researchers examined the relationship between air pollution and health. The study showed that people could adjust their spending on medical care to protect themselves from the effect of poor air quality. The researchers then estimated how much individuals were willing to pay for improved air quality. Like in Boston Harbor, USA, researchers evaluated the economic benefit of a large-scale environmental cleanup project. They compared the cost of the cleanup with the value of ecosystem services provided by the restored environment and found that the benefit could justify the investment. In Lead Philippines, environmental economists assessed the environmental impact of a geothermal power project. Different environmental costs and benefits were evaluated to support decision-making, identify the most suitable project alternative. For the last one is in Madagascar, economic evaluation was used to assess the cost and benefit of establishing a national park. The analysis considered conservation benefits together with management and implementation costs to support environmental planning decisions.
For local Malaysian cases, first we have Kuala Perlis Mangrove Conservation, Perlis. So according to Hassan Basri et al. 2020, local communities in Kuala Perlis were willing to pay for mangrove conservation because of the environmental benefits provided by the ecosystem. The findings showed that conserving mangroves can generate significant economic value while helping to prevent future environmental losses. Second one, we have Kampung Sungai Melayu Mangrove Conservation, Johor. Sunoto et al. 2020 found that residents of Kampung Sungai Melayu were willing to contribute financially to mangrove conservation efforts. This willingness to pay reflects a preventive approach where communities invest in protecting ecosystem services before environmental degradation occurs. Number 3, Mata Mangrove Forest Reserve, Perak. So according to Lee et al. 2020, valuation studies conducted in the Mata Mangrove Forest Reserve highlighted the importance of mangrove ecosystem in providing coastal protection and supporting fisheries. The study emphasized that conservation efforts are often more cost-effective than replacing these services through artificial alternatives. Number 4, Selangor Coastal Mangrove Restoration. Research on Malaysian mangrove systems by Yusof and Taha 2012 showed that mangrove restoration plays an important role in reducing coastal erosion and protecting coastal communities. So investing in restoration activities can help avoid much higher costs associated with environmental damage. Last but not least, Sarawak Mangrove Ecosystem Valuation. The findings by Bennett and Reynolds 1993 demonstrated that mangrove ecosystem in Sarawak provide valuable benefits for fisheries and local livelihoods. So protecting this ecosystem helps prevent economic losses that could result from mangrove degradation. In conclusion, relocation costs and preventive expenditure helps us understand the economic value of environmental resources. They show that environmental degradation creates real costs for society. By investing in environmental protection today, we can avoid much higher costs in the future. Thank you for watching. Bye!